Yeah. Yes, sir. Play me something that moves the people, then moves the crowd. You feel the vibe in your soul beneath you, turn it up loud. It's a chance to let the feeling move across the room. Put them hands up, no reason for us to lower the boom. Whether it's 2 in the morning or it's noon, it's a moment that can't be duplicated once you start to move. Out here it's real, and then we do what we do. Don't get fooled by the groove. This ain't no Velma and Scooby-Doo. It ain't a mystery, it's Paco not on the...
Hey guys, welcome to the lab. We are back with some more exclusive content. Sundaze with the Clink Room goes with my good friend Stile Smith, aka Caps with Style. How you doing today, Style?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Leon.
No problem. So you've been a long-time contributor for VFTV Views from the Vault, as well as anything we've ever done for Clink Room content. I think I kind of got introduced to you through the comments. I remember when we used to do the Monday Morning Critz show or Tuesday Morning Critz. You would always provide almost report card level comments for each of the designs, and you were very thorough. And what I liked about you, you were very consistent with it. So there would be a lot of times where you would give very constructive feedback to the artists, and like what kind of spawned your interest to get involved with the Clink Room, or what drew your attention to the Clink Room in the first place?
So I think for me, like, I feel like a lot of people who get into Clink, who aren't necessarily art, like, I can't even draw a good stick figure, right? So, they're longtime hat collectors who are kind of tired of, all right, like, they've seen every single colorway of every single team, right? Yeah. So I think for me, it got sped up a little bit, that process, because I strictly collected Cardinals hats, right? So like I only had Cardinals logos to look at and Cardinals colorways. So, once I got probably, 9-10 months into collecting hats, at that point I was kind of like, I'd like to start seeing some non-Cardinals logos. And I remember my first introduction to Clink was when you guys had Kurt Weissmiller on. So he was on with you guys and kind of showing some of the things that he did. And, I started really paying attention to Clink from there. And, with the pandemic, I had a lot more time on my hands than normal. And I would just see the crits come out every Monday. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But, it'd be really cool if you could do this with it. And, I just kind of started breaking down every design. And, I've always personally liked in anything that I do, getting constructive feedback. Like, I want to know how I can get better. So I just, thought that, artists might appreciate people, someone who's like, oh, well, hey, maybe you could try this with it. So.
Yeah. Pierre always says in his past job, he always would try to like lean towards people who had like an artistic background, because those are the type of people that could really take constructive criticism and not, falter. They're just used to, people telling them, things that they can improve on or things they could have done different. And that kind of mentality kind of follows them. So you took that, I guess, love for, commenting and critiquing. And you got some designs in with some artists eventually. So can you talk a little bit about that? So you've had 3 hats go from pre-order into production to delivered, and one we'll talk about later that just went up for pre-order Friday. Can you talk a little bit about the collaborative process and how that sort of works?
Yeah, so the first time I ever even thought about reaching out to an artist was after I'd seen Pierre. He worked with was it Jay Matz on the design to kind of, honor his dog that had passed away. Yeah. And I was like, that's pretty cool, because I can't draw, but, I do feel like I have some pretty good ideas that could work and all that. So the first person I ever reached out to was Kurt. And, before I started the position that I'm in now, I was an English teacher. And so I reached out to Kurt and I was like, hey, my favorite thing that I taught in my English classroom was Beowulf. It's like, hey, it'd be really sweet if we could do a design of Beowulf swinging Grendel's arm at his head, So, Kurt did a really good job with that one. It came out, really, really well. never saw the light of Critz. So didn't quite get it there, but I kept plugging away, and I worked with him a few times. I've worked with Austin. I've worked with Page Perception a few times, and here, in the last year, I've worked quite a bit with Phil, and I love working with Phil. So he's
great.
become, it's kind of gone beyond hats too, like where it's just like a friendship, so.
Can you walk us through like what your typical process would be to bringing like your concept from concept to design? Like, how do you decide who you want to work with? Is it something that you work with the artist to develop the concept, or how does that kind of work for you in your process?
So it's kind of depended. The first time I reached out to Kurt, he had a design. It's still one of my favorite Clink designs of all time. Unfortunately, I got in too late into the Clink process, so I missed out on it. Was his Beer Bombers design, where you've got the baseball that's falling into the cup and it's splashing up. So I reached out to him for that, first design, just because I really liked his work. We worked a couple times, worked on that one, and then we did like an old school, like kind of a faux back CR Clink Room design together. And it's just one of those things where like I kind of come up with an idea. I reach out to him. I'm like, hey, I've got this idea. If you like it, that's awesome. If you're not into it, I completely understand that too. Like, I don't feel like any artist should ever feel like I've never felt like entitled for someone to run with my design. But then, like, what I've always loved about working, whether it's Kurt, Austin, Kyle, or Phil, is that it is like a true collaborative process, because like I come in with this idea and kind of a general idea of what I think it would look like. And then, they kind of take it in directions that, end up being way better than what I ever even imagined. So it really is like a true collaborative process. And then, and then we usually go through colorways together and, like what we think about that. And so it really is like a collaborative process. Now, what I've liked about working with Phil is a couple of the designs that we've done have literally just come from like us having conversations. So like this one here that I'm wearing, this was Utter Destruction. That literally came from us talking about how, the old school that I used to be in, we were the Tornadoes, but it was just like a stock tornado that other schools used. So he was just like, well, let me come up with something better than that. So, and I think he definitely succeeded in that. And I love this design.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's from the little parts that I've had to interact with him directly, that he's so like chill, and he's got this like real like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like he's so professional and he's so detail oriented, but he's very relaxed. There's something really calming about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in terms of like storytelling and cap designs, like what are some of your favorite kind of themes to touch upon when looking at what you want to tell?
So, I definitely have a pretty big sports background. I was a big basketball guy growing up. I've coached basketball for 11 years, done all that. So I do kind of typically try to stick somewhat sports themed with my design. So like even that very first one, when I was like, oh, I want to do something with Beowulf, he was swinging his arm like a baseball bat. So there's still that sort of sports element to it. So I really like to, like, when I think of like logo design with Clink, I still think of it in terms of like, could we make it a sports logo? Like, would it make sense for a team to actually use that as their logo?
In terms of like the world of fashion design, that stuff's always changing. Like, do you see any trends or changes in the realm of like custom design?
I mean, yes. I definitely do. Like, I think the biggest thing that you've seen is, when Clink first came out, you never saw green or gray bottoms, right? It was always, because that was what was trending at the time, was colored undervisors. And so I think here recently you're really starting to see even Clink go back to that more. And I know they still do some different colored undervisors and all that, but you definitely see them do a lot more, like especially traditional Kelly green UVs, than what they have in the past. Like, I think this week's pre-orders that just dropped, I think there's 2 or 3 Kelly green under visors, and then mine is like a rifle green, so still kind of closer to that traditional kind of color. So I've definitely seen that. And then, also, the use of alternate materials. I don't think you've seen that move too much over to the Clink side. But like, I kind of wonder sometimes, and, we'll talk about later with the design that I've got dropping this week, maybe we'll start to see some of that move in that direction as well.
I remember there was one week that they went heavy on it. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was like Magnus had the wizard with the marble visor. Phil had the serape, one with the worm calling it shot. But it was like they did it for like 1 week, and then I don't know how the sales went or whatever, but I think it's always tough when you're doing these types of like materials on a mock-up, because it's hard for like non-traditional like hat collectors to really know like what's that gonna look like without kind of seeing it in hand. But yeah, we'll definitely cover the one because that one's a first in terms of the Clink world, so I think that definitely deserves its coverage. But in terms of like the artists out there, like who are some of your favorite that you've seen work with the Clink Room, and do you have any aspirations for like a dream collaboration between any of these guys?
Yeah, so obviously I covered the 4 that I've worked with. Those 4 are 4 of my absolute favorites. I've always been a big fan of Ink Park, John, and we actually worked on a design that I thought came out really, really well. It hasn't seen the light of day anywhere, but one day I do hope that one gets its day, because he did a wonderful job with it. I think you look at people like Jacobo's awesome. I'd love to have the opportunity to work with him. I think he's really talented. Aurelian, I think Aurelian's one of the best at the game. Jason V, I'd love to work with Jason V. I think he's so talented and one of the absolute best that's done it. So those are kind of my top tier, along with the 4 guys that I mentioned that I've worked with in the past as well.
Yeah, I think one thing about Jacobo and Aurelian is like we think that they're so far away, being one from Mexico, the other one from France, but they speak like normal English, so you'd be able to get in touch with them no problem. But yeah, those are definitely some great. It's a good thing about John too. That guy's a machine, man. You give him a concept, he can have you something ready to go in like an hour.
Right. Yeah.
He'll just get right to it.
Right. He used to do some like live streaming where he would literally from start to finish just start a design, and I think not even an hour into it, he'd be done with it, and he'd have a mock-up there.
I watched him draw this logo on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
The PBJ logo. Yeah. Along with the cross. I didn't plan on, whatever, but yeah, he drew the PBJ logo on Twitch.
That's crazy.
And I think Justin either was like on the call or was typing in. I think like when he was doing it, Justin hit me up. He's like, "Yo, join Ink Park's Twitch stream." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah," he's like drawing my logo now, because Justin and I had been talking about it, and he'd asked me some artists that he could work with to get it done. I was like, "Yeah, just hit up John. John's good."
Right.
And and like later he's like, "Yeah, just hit up Ink Park's stream. He's doing the logo now." And then I watched him, kind of casually do it in his way, and hitting a million different hotkeys and shortcuts and whatever. But yeah, we like I was there for watching the inception of like just this iconic logo just get made casually on the stream.
Right.
I think he pulled the stream. I hope he still has it somewhere, because that was just a really cool thing to see happen live and in person, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I missed those streams from him.
Those were a lot of fun. I mean, that's crazy too that he just did that in the stream, and then that logo there kind of became iconic even outside of your more just custom collectors. It really, you've seen multiple releases with Hat Club, and how much that's popped off and all that. So
yeah, and it's so far gone now. Maybe I could speak about it, but Justin's original idea was to have Ink Park do a bunch of Hockey League hats.
Really?
Just with Ink Park, yeah. And then I guess Hat Club changed it to have all the Design Collective guys work on it instead.
Yeah.
But originally it was supposed to be Justin working with Ink Park just to do reimagined like fictional hockey teams, basically.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. I mean, that Hat Club Hockey League in general, I wish we would have seen that to its completion, because I think we had 2 rounds of it.
I think only 2. Yeah. They had more planned, I think, but that was during the pandemic too. So I think they had a squeeze on what they could order, and they decided to unfortunately cut it. But I think there's a bunch of logos in there that belong to them. Yeah, because I had heard rumors that, I don't know how true this is, but like at least a couple more rounds of side patches, because each artist did the one side patch for the whole round, remember?
Right.
So I think I heard about at least 2 or 3 side patches that weren't used. So there would at least be 2 or 3 designs per artist that are in the vault somewhere. That'd be interesting to see if those can get dug up somehow. But
yeah, it would be. And I know some of the artists ended up releasing like their unreleased designs, like on their Instagram page and stuff like that.
Yeah, they would show the sketch, like this is the one that didn't make it, or this is the one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, now it's like ancient history, but it's only like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy how long ago that feels like at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So we'll cover your pre-order after we get through these regularly scheduled festivities. So we will be covering the 6 hats that are going up for last call. So if you're watching this right at noon on Sunday, you have about 12 hours because these close at midnight, basically. So On the Rocks, Anchors Away, and Dairy Goddess. Any of these kind of stick out to you?
I think the one for me is definitely On the Rocks. I love a good alcohol themed hat, and I've always been a big fan of Jay's work. I think he does a really nice job, especially when he's got someone like I think Lane is a really good collaborative partner. He's done a lot of collab work, and so I think that one's pretty awesome. The other 2 are really strong as well, but On the Rocks is definitely the one that sticks out to me out of this group.
Yeah, COD has this like line of like fictional kind of deities. It's cool to see this kind of like play out. I think the original one was like Trash God. It was like a raccoon or whatever. So
right,
it's cool how he's making his way through. And yeah, On the Rocks, like you said, man, A-level pun, tells a cool story. The bottle looks almost like an iced tea bottle, but it's still obvious that it's it is what it is. But yeah, it reminds me of those old California raisins almost. You remember those things?
yeah, I do remember those
with the Mickey Mouse hands and stuff. But yeah, it's a really cool design. I'm with it. Anchors Away. When it glows in the dark, it's got an anchor, so that's that part of that. So yeah, all solid. If I were to rank them, I'd probably go On the Rocks 1, Dairy Goddess 2, Anchors Away 3, but still all solid designs.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I mean, I will say though, Anchors Away will embroider really well. That's probably going to be some nice chunky embroidery on that one.
Mm-hmm. I love the glow in the dark elements hidden in plain sight. So like, to the naked eye, you wouldn't be able to see much of a difference between the white and the glow in the dark. And then when you shine or take it out of the light,
right,
the hidden message. So I always thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think of was it Jason V that had the rabbit that then when it glowed in the dark, it became like a wolf howling. That one might be my all-time glow in the dark.
That one was until I saw Good Kitties by 40.
Yep, that's a great one as well.
Yeah, that one is an excellent use of the glow in the darks. But yeah, all right. So let's see here. We got Toxic Traits, Hardships, and Reaper's Revenge. Anything stick out to you here?
Yeah, I know we've seen a lot of Reapers, but I do like that Reaper's Revenge. I thought it was kind of interesting too with that one because I think he had submitted that one as like a clown before, and that one didn't go through, and then he came back with it as a Reaper, and think people like Reapers a little bit more than clowns on their hats, so it ended up working out for him.
Yeah, I think so. Ryan S. I think he's like an animator or something. I think he ended up taking the clown design and getting it made still.
Okay.
Somewhere else, but yeah, so he's kind of like got this pose. It's interesting. It's almost like a still almost of something like with the colors and kind of how it developed, almost like a picture. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, he had that clown design, and that one was super funky. This one's a little bit more popular. So yeah, Reapers will always sell. Like
it's kind of almost like that batting stance when you're in like first grade t-ball or whatever that they make you pose for picture day.
Yeah. He's choking up on the bat crazy though.
yeah, he is.
But I mean, it's a scythe. That thing gotta be heavy as hell.
Yep.
Toxic Traits. That one was something that kind of got submitted and redone and kind of I guess like changed so many times. I feel like different colorways, and he kind of moved around the hand. So it's cool that Jake's stuck with it.
Yeah.
And finally, this one finally made it through. I feel like this one we've seen some iteration of it for a long time. So I like how he reversed the face, because it almost looked like it was on the inside of the bottle. Now it looks like it's on the outside of the bottle. So I do like that subtle change.
Right.
And then with the hands, just looks cleaner. I think the hands originally were more on the outside. Now they're more drawn in. So I think it's like really cool to see his evolution as an artist. And for this one to finally make it through, like he's probably submitted that like I think 3 or 4 times.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely grown a lot as an artist too. Like, just seeing his work from the beginning until now. And that's the biggest thing, because I feel like lately we've had a lot of new Clink artists join in the fray. And, I think it's always kind of hard, learning the ropes as far as embroidery, designing for embroidery and doing all that. Yeah. So just seeing how, like, I'm interested to see how this one will embroider with the bubbles. I think this one could turn out pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the hands are going to be what really makes this design. It's going to be super textured with the face and all that stuff. I think this one is going to be killer. You could tell he's learning the textures a little bit more. Like from his first ones, I think he did like a lot of snakes and stuff like that. Those are a little bit more finer detailed. And like this one, he's like letting it breathe. So
right,
he did a really good job on these ones, on that one specifically. But all right, let's get into the crits section. So 40's back. I always struggle with this word. Cerebus? Cerebus?
I think it's Cerebus.
Cerebus, yeah. So the 3-headed dog. This thing usually guards like the gates of hell, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one's really cool because it's like the the Cerebus design. It's menacing, but then I feel like it's a different kind of take on the traditional type of dog that would be depicted here. And man, 40, he's one that I forgot to mention earlier too, but he's up there too, is one of the best. And I mean, he's one of them that, anytime that I see one of his designs go up, without even seeing his name, it's usually a pretty automatic yes when the voting comes up on Mondays.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so skilled, man. Like, look, like you got 2 different light sources. You got like the red side and the orange side. It's menacing yet kind of cute at the same time. It's just he just nails his stuff. Maybe I would have played with the chain a little bit more, maybe make it hang a little bit more. But other than that, that's might be nitpicking. This is a cool one.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. This one will come out really well in embroidery. Yeah, I like the way you describe the dogs too, though. They're menacing, but they're kind of cute at the same time. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Like that's the
It's like
perfect way to describe it.
American Bulldog, it looks like, or like
Yeah.
a boxer almost, maybe pit
Like,
bull. But yeah, he did a great job.
yeah.
Eye candy, Seamus the skunk. High level pun here. What do you think?
It's definitely unique for sure. Man, I'd be interested to see how this embroiders, but I think for me, I'm not a big lime green guy, so I wouldn't mind seeing a little change in the colorway there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely you can tell he has his own unique spin on things, and he's taken things from an original perspective, which I really like.
Yeah. The funky overs are tough now. Maybe one way to do it is to do dark green on the top and then just do the lime under. Maybe that would be maybe that would have a little bit more mass appeal.
Right.
The gray's tough too.
Yeah.
I don't know. The art's good though.
The art is good. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I mean, especially the details in the eye itself, like I feel like he's almost, studied people's eyes to get this artwork out.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of pieces to the pupil, and yeah, he's definitely captured it well. I'm with you though. I don't know if I love the color. I do like the art though.
Yes.
So maybe black crown with like an orange eye or a red eye to make it look a little bit more evil. I'm thinking, or maybe even you can go even the blue route. Maybe do like a navy blue crown with like a blue eye, or
yeah. Hey,
like black and red.
Sticking with the season there, like going with your orange eye, just go black crown, black visor, and then like a kind of a rust orange UV would look good.
Yeah. Something more earthy, maybe. But maybe he's trying to avoid Halloween. Who knows? But it's still like a fun hat, eye candy. I like a good pun to a hat. It's kind of like force someone to stop. Like, hey, what the hell are you wearing, man?
Right.
But yeah,
it's eye candy.
Definitely a fun one for sure. Bacon King, Rick and Richard.
Okay.
So Ari Clifton with Dick Imhoff. Okay.
This
it's obviously a throwback to Notorious B.I.G. So the Notorious P.I.G. maybe. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it also kind of gives me throwbacks to you remember was it Clink Kong or
the one with Omar?
Yes, yeah, the one with Omar. Yeah, it gives me a lot of, and talking about the early days of 2.0, so it really throws it back to that, but just sort of in a new direction.
The colorway really reminds me of this one, the Butcher, a little bit. So it's got like the same kind of cardinal and gold elements to it, and there's no pink in this one, but there is pink in this one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if this will have enough to make it through.
Yeah, I don't know, the pig almost looks a little too like human to me as well. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't quite look like a pig or a human. Like, it's kind of stuck in this in between. You know what I mean? So maybe make it look more pig-like.
Yeah, it's almost like a dude wearing a pig mask.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it right there, for sure. Now, this would be really cool. Like, I'd love to see them do something like this, but like, when they go to embroider like that metallic, if they did that in metallic gold, like that could be really cool. So, but it's hard to bring that out in, the mocks.
Yeah, it's tough too, right? Like the name Bacon King doesn't really do anything for me. Now maybe Notorious PIG might be too close to comfort to make it through, but yeah.
Right.
Oh no, not bad. All right, moving forward, let's take a look at the next one. Mascot Kong. I don't know why I struggle with that word. Mascot Kong. Josh Voles is back. This one's interesting.
I like this a lot. This is kind of, I felt like for a while there the Kong got played out, and there were too many versions of it and all that, but like I feel like this is a really fresh take on it, and I think it also really goes well with like the whole idea of Clink and being, also sports oriented. Like you could see this as being the Clink mascot if, that Clink logo that's right next to the hat there were like their actual mascot and you're at the game and this guy's walking around,
Yeah. It's really fun too. It's got the zipper.
Yeah.
It's colored in like the typical like purples and those kind of like light blues that kind of Clink has their logos in all the time. I think this is really, really well done. I'd be very surprised to see this not make it through.
Yeah. I think this one, in my opinion, this one deserves to go through to the Thursday preview.
Yeah, and then like you said, man, there was some that used the same kind of Kong silhouette and threw different things on it, and a lot of those were good, and a lot of those were creative at the time. Some of us did get a little bit of Kong fatigue, so it was cool like to see this one done.
This kind of takes me back to like different stuff that people used to try with the Kong, like in the earlier days of Clink 2.0. Like I think back to Ink Park's Pencil Kong, stuff like that, where you're not just, okay, this is the Kong silhouette, this is what we're doing with it. Like you're actually trying to do something with the Kong.
Yeah, Ephra, I remember, did a completely different style with the huge pencil and the whole gorilla. This is kind of harkens back to that, but kind of takes it to the next level with like you mentioned, like it being a complete mascot.
Right. Yeah. This one's really cool. I hope we see this on Friday.
Yeah. All right. 1 sec. Can you hear these guys?
No, I can't. I can't hear your dogs at all.
Okay. Cool. Hey, chill. Shh. I had them upstairs and they were freaking barking like crazy. Finn, chill. Hey, come here. They're bothering the hell out of me right now. Come here. Oh. Come here. No. Where you sit here? Sit. There you go. All right. Relax. Give me 2 minutes. Relax. Ugh. All right. Okay, moving forward. Bloodlines. Faded Fanatic is back. This time with Sierra Gons. What do you think of this?
So my favorite stuff that Sierra does is definitely these sort of what would you describe them as, like Meso American? Yeah, like this to me is like the best work that he does, and I think this one kind of goes along with this. I think this is really well done. I like the colors. I think that outline will really make the design pop. I think he did a really nice job with this.
Yeah, and you can kind of see Carlos, aka Faded Fanatic's kind of influence on this one. Like it's like a hat that he would typically kind of put together, dark green, black, gray under. That like screams Carlos to me. So that's probably his contribution, along with the subject matter, him being of Mexican descent as well, I believe. So it's a cool pairing for sure. My only thing with this one is the middle guy. There's nothing really to make him kind of stand out, or he almost gets lost,
right,
amongst the other two. I don't know if they did it on purpose, where all three of them are roughly like the same size, but I feel like the middle one should either be pushed forward more and the other two pushed back a little bit, or even you could just run these as 3 separate hats.
True.
I think they're good enough that you could have, the middle one run on its own, and then like just turn this into a series. Now I almost feel like you're wasting good art, if that makes any sense.
Right. And I'm not sure, like, on the backstory on this one, like, if the three need to be in a certain order or not, but I almost think it'd be better if the guy on the right was in the middle, where, that,
With
what
the
is that?
headdress.
Yeah. If that was, like, really popping up higher, and then you put the middle guy there over on the side, and you probably get more details from his helmet on the side as well. So maybe that'd be something to look at. But yeah, I do agree with you. Like, separately, these would make three really good hats with each, sort of entity there.
Yeah, and it maybe, now thinking about it, having said it out loud, maybe the Bloodlines portion requires you to have multiple figures. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe there is a greater story that's being told here that we're not, I guess, aware of. But yeah, obviously, I like the art. I like the hat. It's well put together. It's clean.
Yeah.
The colorways are really cool.
The only thing I wonder about is how, like, those kind of thin lines on the faces, how well those would embroider. And then you've got, like, the little white dots there on their faces. Like, I kind of wonder about those things, those smaller details.
Yeah.
But I do think the art's really clean, and it's a cool design for sure.
Yeah, and I think the colors probably have a lot of deep meanings too. So, like, anytime, like, I would have the chance to, like, work on anything like this, I'd have to be very particular about what colors get used and make sure they're kind of accurate to what they should be and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
this is really well done. Absolutely.
All right. Saul Malvado. Flashy.
Good old Flashy.
What do you think?
So looking at this on the mock, I really like it. I just wonder how much, you've got a lot of thin lines here. So how's this going to look sort of embroidered, on that final product? I like the concept overall, and I think the artwork's cool. I'm not sure on the embroidery side of things how that would look.
Yeah, it's kind of got some, like, elements of, like, a mandala almost, right? It looks like a sun to me. I'm not sure exactly what he's going for, or what the subject matter is. I'm sure there is a deeper meaning towards it. I worry about the legibility and how to kind of color this in.
Right.
Are we dealing with, like, a lot of negative space? Are we, getting more texture towards the middle? That's kind of hard to read from the mock-up itself. I think there needs to be some type of simplification. Aesthetically, it looks cool. It's kind of got, like, a mandala, like I said, or like a dream catcher type feel to it. It's well balanced. The colors really, pop off the hat. The art is good. It's just I worry about the legibility of it and the readability from far.
Yeah, that's my, when it's embroidered, does it just look like, a bunch of triangles and diamonds and, or are you going to be able to make out, what it actually is there? I feel like this one does have potential, but I'm not sure if it's there quite yet.
Yeah, I'm also not quite sure what I'm looking at. Is it a sun? Is it, like, it almost looks like a puffer fish in the middle, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Without really doing and deep diving into it, I don't really want to comment too much on it. But like I said, like, the art's solid. There's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, it's cool to see him throw something in the ring of fire. So good job, Flashy.
Absolutely.
One small step. So Win is back. I seen some discussion about this one. Number one, the Liberia flag sticks out.
Right.
I know there's no way to get 50 stars in that one, but when you change an element of a flag, you have to be very freaking careful. Other than that, what do you think?
I think you could have gone a different way. Obviously you can't get 50 stars in there, but you could have done, like, some just white dots to kind of represent the stars, something like that. Look like a blurred out sort of flag.
Yeah.
The other thing for me with this though is I feel like I've seen it before from Clink. I mean, not with the flag and the helmet there, but I mean, I feel like we've seen a couple astronaut designs from this point of view,
Yeah.
you know, in the past with Clink. So I'm not really sure that it's, you know, we need another version of that again.
Well, one thing he could do to like avoid all that is just to change the angle, just to change the perspective. Like, don't
Right.
do one that is positioned the same as stuff we've seen
Mm-hmm.
like 1,000 times. So even if he were to change the angle of the helmet, it would be a completely different hat. Also, with the flag, it would be a reflection of something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, what is he looking at that's such a big flag? Maybe the side of a ship. Maybe I don't know. I just don't know. I don't get the point. You know,
Well,
like everything's blurry, but the star's not blurry.
yeah.
There's a lot to this, and it's tough too because I don't know if he's like really going out there and kind of rehashing certain themes or redoing certain um concepts, but I don't know if it becomes too derivative and it's the same person doing it over and over again. Like we gotta have to kind of start questioning like what's going on. Like,
Right. Yeah, because
um,
you know, it's not the first time that we've seen something from him that looks similar to other things that we've seen in the past.
yeah,
So yeah, but
and,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
go
gonna say
ahead.
it's unfortunate because he's obviously a talented artist or she. I don't even know if it's a he or she actually.
Right.
Um, they are a very talented artist. You almost see them once a week,
Mm-hmm.
at least in crits, and almost every other week in pre-order. So
Right.
the work ethic is there, but like if you're
Mm-hmm.
just gonna rehash stuff that's already done, like you're gonna lose a little bit of respect from everyone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely. I mean,
hopefully they could shed the reputation a little bit.
right. Like the potential's there. Like, weren't they the ones that had the really cool flag a couple weeks ago? Like it was the tattered flag that had the skull in it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
the Grim Reaper, right?
yeah, yeah. Like I
Yeah,
hadn't seen a design like that before. Like that was really cool, and it, to me at least, it looked like it was original. Uh, you know, so the potential's there to do stuff like that. It's just, you know, got to do it.
yeah. It's unfortunate because like that's the stuff that is so in your face for someone who's looking at this stuff all the time. It's like, oh man, like I hope he doesn't go down this path again, or hope they don't go down this path again. But art itself, it's cool. Just the themes kind of recycled a little bit.
Right, for
Oops,
sure.
sorry, I have some mutts here clawing for attention. But cleanup hitter Sierra Gons, harkening back to his graffiti days. What do you think of this?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like with the outline. Like I like that you've got that sort of spray paint splatter as the outline. Um, you know, this one's a fun one for sure. I think I'd like to see. I don't love yellow unders. I will say
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe, you know, tone that down with like a traditional gray or something like that. But you know, overall, it's solid. Like I said, I do like his Meso American, you know, style designs a little bit more than his cartoon work. But I do think that this is one of his better cartoon styles that he's done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's like done like a series of swinging things. So I guess this kind of falls under that kind of
mhm.
umbrella. Art wise, it's drawn really well. I just can't look at a can now and not think Umbrella Heights,
Right,
unfortunately.
that's true.
And shout out to Umbrella Heights, man. He's like got the spray can like locked.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean it's solid. Um, he almost looks like he's like a safety cone more than a spray can bottle,
Right.
like a pylon or something. Maybe I'd play a little bit with the paint roller and make it a little bit more dirty. But yeah, other than that, like it's a solid design. There's nothing really wrong with it.
Right.
The blue on blue makes it a little tough. The blue on blue makes it a little
Hmm.
tough. But yeah, all in
That's
all, yeah, maybe to put on a black hat or a gray hat to kind of have that blue really pop off it if you're gonna keep the can and the paint blue,
mm-hmm.
so it doesn't get lost. But other than that, I think it's solid. And yeah, I'm with you. Um, the yellow unders they mock up well, but in practice, they don't really like feel good when they arrive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greedy pigs. So try Dub Design. We got another pig in the house. What do you think of this one?
It's Piggy week.
Yeah.
Is this his first run with Clink? I don't recognize his name.
Let me look it up real quick while you talk about it.
Okay. And part of the reason I say that too, you see a lot of people who are new to Clink. You end up with the same color under as you do over visor. Obviously we're going to need some contrast there, but for a first submission, I don't think this is bad. I like the the little details with the dollar signs and the eyes, although I don't know how well that'll embroider.
Yeah, that might be tough. So I'm looking at it. They look like they have a lot of different t-shirt and logo designs, a lot of mascot stuff. They have done about 7 different submissions, it looks like. So yeah, relatively new clinker, but probably their first time into Critz.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like this is a person who would really benefit from reaching out to someone who's been doing it for a while to kind of, guide them in the right direction, kind of let them know, because like I said, for a first submission, I don't think this is, too bad at all. And I think with the right direction from someone who's been doing it for a while, I could see this person getting some designs in eventually. I don't think this is the one, but I could see it eventually for sure.
And kind of going through their body of work on Instagram, seeing a lot of t-shirt looking designs and a lot of like sticker looking designs. So when you're dealing with hat, like there's more dimensions you can kind of play with and kind of textures and stuff like that. So you can kind of tell right off the hop that this looks really flat. So there's going to be some different ways that they could kind of manipulate the image to get that the different textures out of the pig's face, or even the money signs. Maybe turn it into like a negative space. Maybe, I don't know, but the money signs are definitely not going to work in that size. So he's going to have to figure out a new way to do that. All right, moving forward. Drunctopus. Ryan and Gabe. What do you think of this one?
It's definitely a traditional Gabe style here with the dark crown, the bright colors, bright eyes, and all that. Unique concept here. So he's punch drunk and he's drunk, and maybe a little food sick drunk as well with that fish. But yeah, definitely a unique design. I don't know if it's something that I'd rock, but it's good to see someone else trying to move in on the octopus category.
Yeah. I think back to one of the old ones. Remember Torpedoed?
Yep.
Wasn't that Gabe as well?
Yeah, that was Gabe.
Yeah. So he's kind of back in the fold. They got the Pirates rum, the XXX. Yeah, it's just like solid hat. I feel like maybe the boxing gloves are on the wrong hands potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
That might be nitpicking.
Right. Yeah, we haven't seen as much from Gabe lately. There for a while. It seemed like he was dropping a design or two every day.
Yeah.
Still dropping some stuff here and there, but definitely not the same sort of volume that he was doing before.
Yeah, but I like this one a lot, man.
Do you?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I remember someone had done a design. It wasn't Clink, and it wasn't even tattoos, but it was like it was like a sushi chef octopus, and they were just kind of all over the place with different hands doing different things. I think one was chopping like cucumbers, another one was doing something else. I just thought it was like so cool. And this one kind of has that essence to it.
Right.
But yeah.
I do think, kind of, telling that story, sort of the stars and the shapes above his head, that helps tell you, oh, like this octopus got jacked up, right?
Yeah.
In a pretty unique way.
Yeah. And Gabe's one of those guys that kind of came on strong. I would even call him, like, categorize him as like a Clink 2.5 artist. He wasn't really around when 2 relaunched, but he kept at it. He has a huge book of designs and stuff that went through, and yeah, it was good to see him kind of stick with it.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of the early 2.0 artists who had a lot of success there in the early goings, once COVID kind of slowed down and people started going back to work, a lot of those guys stopped submitting as much, and I feel like Gabe is one of those guys who filled that void when some of the others stopped so much. He kind of came into the fold at that point.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think of Gabe, when there's a bunch of them that
probably put Sierra in that category.
Yeah. COD, Sierra, yeah. There's like a bunch of them that kind of, like you said, kind of took over when the original kind of batch either stopped submitting or went back to doing what they do. So yeah, it's good that he stuck it out. And Raphael,
yep,
for sure, Raphael. But yeah, this one's good. I would be very surprised to see this not make it.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it. So I think we're moving on to this one. So this one had hit pre-order starting from Thursday night, Friday. It's the first that I've remembered full Realtree, Realtree crowned hat in the Clink Room. So can you talk a little bit about this and what went behind the scenes to make this happen?
Right. So, obviously Realtree's, become really popular in, the MLB and MILB area of hat collecting. And, I was just thinking, man, it was only a couple weeks ago, really, that all this kind of unfolded, but I was like, we haven't seen a Clink Realtree. I think we had one like regular camo visor that Clink's done in the past. But we had never seen Realtree. So I really wanted to do something with Realtree, but I wanted to make sure that we weren't just slapping some random logo onto a Realtree crown. So it had to make sense for the Realtree. So, I got to thinking about it and I was like, well, what if the deer was hunting back? So I reached out to Phil because, like I said earlier, I love the work that Phil does. I really trusted him with something like this. And my kind of original idea was that the deer would be holding like a knife or something with the bow slung over his back. And then Phil went to work. I mean, I think it was probably 2 or 3 days later that he came back with the final design. And he was like, I think it just kind of works better with him holding the bow and eliminating the knives. And I agreed. I thought he knocked it out of the park. I know listening to This Week in Caps, Jason made the point that deer don't have opposable thumbs. But what I will say to that is that, Phil is like the ultimate, I would say, cartoonist, like in that cartoon style for Clink.
Yeah.
And, I know Jason, I think Jason's a little bit older than me, but, I know that we were both the type who, sat down, we watched our Saturday morning cartoons, and, all those Saturday morning cartoon character animals like did things that their real life counterparts couldn't do. So I think that's what we've got here with, Buck Off. We've got a deer that's, you got to suspend that disbelief a little bit, and, he's coming for you because he's tired of seeing all of his family members get hunted down.
Yeah, and there's not many animals, save for a couple, I think, mammals that really do have prehensile thumbs. That's kind of what sets
right
humans and primates kind of apart. But Yeah, I like it. It's like the roles are reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes me think about the hat I did a couple years ago with Manny a little bit. The sheep in wolf's clothing as opposed to the
Yeah.
wolf in sheep's clothing. So yeah, I like the revenge factor. I like the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting that like the shadow almost makes it look like he's like either got like an eye patch or a missing eye.
Oh yeah.
But usually you are like closing an eye when you're
Mm-hmm.
firing an arrow, and Phil's got a background in military, so
Right.
anything weapons, I'm sure he's he's doing it proper.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe don't you maybe I mean I'm nitpicking, but maybe you don't want to have a relaxed arm when you're drawing back on a bow. But I mean, like what we're talking about an anthropomorphic deer here, but yeah, like it's fun. I like it. It's a deer hiding in the woods too. Like I always find it funny when like sometimes I see a real tree and it's just stuff that would not be anywhere near like actual trees. But yeah, I like it. Like I think it's cool because I know I've been pushing for it a little bit to make the colorways for the Clink Room hats be a little bit more in line with like what hat collectors would normally collect, like people who are more into like licensed products, so to make it kind of cross over and make customs quote unquote cool again. So I do like that factor, and I think it's important.
Right.
This opens up exponentially the possibilities now if we're willing to play with the different fabrics and textures. Maybe we do see more camos or different textures or maybe alt materials.
Right.
I think it only can have more options, so you're not just stuck playing with the regular 60 colors. So I think it's important.
And I'm really excited to see how it comes out in embroidery. Like I love that he kind of included the the bush that the deer is popping out of there, the leaves. It'll be cool to see how those embroider. And I do feel like Phil knocked it out of the park. And I also want to give a shout out to Casey because when Phil and I were talking about this too, we were deciding whether we should post it on Instagram or see if we could potentially work it to go straight to pre-order, because I liked the idea of if this could just completely catch people by surprise and it just pops up on Friday and people are like, oh, we have a real tree. That's crazy. Like we didn't see this coming.
It definitely, when I was doing my Clink Room homework, it definitely caught me by a pleasant surprise. Now it would be interesting. I'm already thinking about the future, like the possibilities you have on this potentially to add copper or gold into it, and maybe bling it out a little bit. Those are there. I think taking this and putting it on a solid color crown too would be really interesting and really fun. So I do like what you guys have started. And in typical Phil fashion, he uses a good portion of the canvas.
Yes.
So yeah, man, hats off to you. And Phil, this is a great design. I hope a lot of people get a chance to cover it. And and we don't normally cover recently up for pre-order hats, but with you being on the show, I think it's important to kind of do that and shine a light on this hat. And it wasn't planned when I originally reached out to you. I didn't know that this was going to happen, so it kind of worked out for the best.
Yeah, it was a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you showing it though, and let me talk about it a little bit. This is one that I'm really, really excited for.
So this one is up for pre-order. So it started on Friday, and it's good till November the 5th with an estimated delivery of March of next year. So hopefully everyone gets a chance to catch it on the pre-order portion, and if not, then hopefully the next one. But I think you guys did a solid job. You got like the different like seashell type colors, and I think it's colored really well. Did you guys use the metallics in this one, or?
I'm actually not. I don't think we did.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I'm always down for for some metallics. I do love my metallics in my hats. So, you know, if they decided to go that route, I'd be totally cool with that.
It's hard to tell sometimes in the mock-ups, but if not on this round, then easily you could do it on the next round. But
yeah,
the art's solid anyway, so it's just a matter of just switching swatches. But
right, for sure.
All in all, it's exciting, man. Like, Realtree craze is real. I've seen it. I always thought, like, all these Realtree hats, you know, the people aren't wearing them. There's no way. And then when I went to the Toppers opening back in May, I was like, holy, a lot of people like Realtree. And people don't just wear the hats. They got the vests, the shorts. I haven't seen someone wearing, like, Realtree Crocs.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because it took me a while to come around on it because so I'm from Southern Illinois where, like, you just see camo everywhere, right? So I went a long time kind of resisting, and then I finally got my hands on my first, you know, Realtree. I helped design an MILB that I got, and I ended up loving it in hand. So I got won over by it for sure.
It's almost like opening a pack of cards too, because you don't know what cut you're gonna get. So,
right, that's true. Like, just hoping you get that stamp somewhere on the front.
The collectors love the stamp, but for me, I love the leaf. If you can get like a really solid leaf, I would take that over the stamp any day of the week. But it's kind of luck of the draw. Like, you just get what you get. It's the same thing with, like, woodland camo, like what part of the pattern you get and whatever. But yeah, it makes it have like almost like a one of one kind of feeling,
right?
A little bit, because like everyone's a little bit different.
And it's gonna make that deer look different too, depending on what cut you get.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, I appreciate you being flexible with me. I know this kind of developed last minute, and yeah, it's good to get, you know, we used to chat every other week, like clockwork, but you know, things changed a little bit, and you had to do what you had to do, and I'm very happy for you for the moves you've made. But yeah, don't be a stranger, man. Like, I loved our time together, for you helping us with the moderation of This Week in Caps, and I always loved your enthusiasm and the way you kind of participated in the community and helped artists, and just be really, really tactful. I don't think I would have. I feel like sometimes I don't want to give my opinion sometimes, because I feel like people will take it the wrong way, and you have a great way about it. So
thank you. I appreciate it. I miss being part of the show. I always loved being a moderator. You know, unfortunately, not unfortunately, you know, I got a new job, and you know, so I'm an athletic director now and working on Friday nights. So, you know, it wasn't possible to keep doing it, but man, if it wasn't for that, I could have kept doing it forever. So I love being part of it.
Yeah, you'll forever be a part of the Views from the Vault family. We're forever grateful and appreciative for your contributions, and hopefully people give you a follow and get to know you a little bit better. Great guy in my books. But yeah, appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Hey, I appreciate you having.
Yeah. For Stile and Leon, we'll sign off. Stay fitted. Peace.
See you guys.
Ones and twos. It's the ignition to the feet, head nodding. Somewhat discreet. The next thing you know, it's me bobbing over this heat. You trying to get to the tape deck, dubbing to catch this elite. Ain't always about the most complex verse.